Hi, and welcome back to Music Theory Logic. My name's Andrew, and today I thought it'd be fun to do some applied Serum stuff. So if you've checked out this channel before, you probably saw that I did something called Serum Fundamentals, where I built some sounds, one of which was an uplifter. I think this is kind of like the easiest sound to start with. And I was working on a track this morning where I had to do exactly that. So I stalled, and I thought, why not make this into a video? So without further ado, let's go into the logic session. So here we are in my original track. This track is tentatively called Space Age. It has a lot of elements in it. I incorporate a lot more rock and guitar stuff than some of my music. You probably heard some stuff where I do that. So because this track's ultimately going to come out through a record label or a publisher, I'm not going to play the whole thing just because I want to err on the side of caution, but I am going to play the section basically that we're using in the beginning of the drop. So to get started building our sound effect, you want to create just a default instance of Serum. This is just the initial preset. And then you'll want to write in MIDI. I like to use basically the root note, so it doesn't sound great because it's just this really initial waveform. But you're going to want to choose a note of MIDI that is probably the root note, the key of the song that you're working in. So this song's in the key of F sharp minor, so I wrote in the note F sharp, and I make that 8 measures long. Now, because I'm going to have a little 4-measure breakdown or silence right before my drop, I'm starting that essentially a measure earlier than where you would expect to find it. So, but because of how we're going to build it, we won't hear a lot of it in the beginning. Cool. So let's hear the section before we do this. Nice. Yeah, I'm really excited about the drop on that. Just to give you some perspective, I've been working on this song for like a while, well over a year. Good things take time. I had multiple instances where I thought I was done with the track. But again, sometimes good things take time, and I've returned to it. I'm glad I did because I think it gets better all the time. Cool. So again, I created this instance of MIDI. We have the root note F sharp, then we open up Serum. Cool, let's build the sound. So the first thing we're gonna do is we could pick a waveform. I'll go with an animal from Serum. Why don't we go with like Chipmunk 2? This isn't gonna sound too great. Let's solo this out. Oh, start at the right moment. Cool, so let's see some of the wavetable. Cool. So the first step to this is we're going to use an LFO, basically on envelope mode or trigger. It doesn't matter since we have one MIDI note. We'll eventually turn this to 8 bars, but so that we can hear the movement without listening to the whole phrase, I'm going to leave it at a half note. And we're going to drag this to our wavetable. We have this. Cool, so it's going to go wow. We could lower the octave if we wanted to. Let's leave it in its initial setting. All right, cool. We're going to use this to do the entire volume of the wavetable or the oscillator. Again, this will be a lot sort of slower because it's going to be over the course of 8 measures. Nice. Let's grab some sort of analog waveform. What should we do? Let's do a rounded saw. So this wavetable is a lot more like mid-range heavy, which is good because it's going to beef up this sound quite a bit. And then we'll do some filtering. Let's use this 24. Let's turn up a resonance slightly. Let's see. Let's basically just automate that cutoff. Turn it on both of them. Cool. Getting there. We could do some unison stuff. Let's take this, the mid one, and we could automate that detune. Cool. Let's make the mix hyper expander. So the reason I love building uplifters in really any VST is that it's not going to be an upfront sound, so it doesn't have to be like as perfect. And basically, if we get the sound to get bigger and crazier, louder, maybe go up in pitch, that's really going to add a lot to any sort of build-up in dance music. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Let's get our mix up. Cool. Let's add some distortion. Let's compress the sound. Let's add some reverb as it goes. Finally, let's do that same filter thing that we did a second time, just to make sure that that reverb works. We could literally add a third filter. Let's do that. Let's add some sort of combing flange. And let's do some opposite movement there. Cool. Let's turn this oscillator to 8 bars, so it's going to take the entire time. You could always save that if you want. I like to organize sort of my effects. So I've got D.R.U risers here, and I'll do like a demo 8-bar space age. Cool. If you want, Serum's pretty cool because you could add your artist name. You'd be like, make it crazy. Cool. So let's hear this sound effect in context. Here it is. Cool. It's getting there. Now, one thing that is pretty common, we could make the pitch go up as well. If we wanted to do that, there's a couple options we have. One, we could automate like the course tune up here, or our fine tune to one of the individuals, or we could go into our matrix and make LFO1 control. I believe this is the only way to do the global master tune, so this whole thing will move. Let's hear that. Cool. It's going down. Let's go up. Cool. I like that a lot. Now, I don't like how transparent it is in the mix. So obviously we can do all the same stuff to mix this. So like, for instance, if it gets louder, you could mix that to your ear to try to make sure that it doesn't get too loud. Now, one important thing that really helps when you're doing a sound effect like this that takes time is I can bounce that in place. Ableton, that would be like freeze, I think. And what that does is it turns it into audio. So now we can see the waveform. That helps, but I could also start it halfway through and we'll hear it. So right there, I could perhaps turn that down. Just so it's subtle, and then let's throw it through some of our reverb buses that everything else is going through, just to put it in the same room, essentially. That's what we get. Awesome. I think built the sound effect. So hopefully you found this helpful. Today we built a riser, which I've already done a video on, but the other video was sort of just without it being in context of a song. This is a true track that I'm working for my alias, D.R.U. I will link to that below. Hopefully you found this helpful. I used to grab like uplifter samples in a lot of my music, but I really have found that building an uplifter can go a long way to putting some original sound in your track, and also it's just really fun. So have some fun building uplifters. If you don't have Serum, you can try to use an LFO in another virtual synthesizer. Most of them do have some sort of LFO functionality. I don't know if I said that right. But anyway, if you found this helpful, you'd help me out a lot by subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to put out 2 videos a week. We're doing music theory breakdowns where we look at popular music, and we're doing a bunch of synth demos or sound design, song breakdowns, interviews with other artists. I'm going to try to keep it fresh. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.